I get asked a lot about how to become an instructor. So in this episode, I'm going to give a high-level view of some of the things you can look forward to or dread depending on your feelings. So let's get to it. Hey, you scallywags. Welcome to our Pirate Talks Guns podcast. I'm your host, John Sello, the president and lead instructor at the Tactical Pirate. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You've decided to dip your toe into the instructor pond. Well, congratulations. You're not just a shooter anymore. As an instructor, you're expected to be part coach, part safety officer, part psychologist, and part expert on all things bang bang. You'll be guiding eager students through the ins and outs of firearm handling, so get ready to answer questions like, can I use this shotgun to toast my marshmallows? You'll also need to be ready to know how to keep a student motivated when, after firing the 20th round that they have ever fired their entire life, they become disheartened because they're not as fast or as accurate as they want to be. The demand for firearms instructors is showing some growth, because apparently everybody wants to be a Tier 1 operator these days. Maybe it's the influence of action movies or sudden desire to reenact their favorite video game, but the demand for firearms instructors has taken off. All the students want to be John Wick, and all the instructors want to be like Taran Butler, of the famous Taran Tactical, trainer to the stars and collector of hot gun babes. Now, if you're hoping for a step-by-step how-to guide, this isn't going to be it. In fact, one doesn't really exist. Everyone's needs are unique. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do as much research as you can to prepare yourself. You'll need to wade through all the stuff that's out there and glean what you can that applies to your situation. And as you do your research, pay particular attention to the things that didn't work and the mistakes the authors made along the way. Now let's face it, guns aren't exactly like those Nerf blasters we played with as kids. They require skill, responsibility, and a whole lot of safety precautions. Proper firearms training is crucial to prevent embarrassing mishaps and ensure you don't accidentally turn your living room into a Swiss cheese gallery. So there has to be someone to train people to not be a danger to themselves and others, right? So, why do you want to become a firearms instructor? This is the first thing that you have to honestly answer to yourself. Is it the thrill of watching students' eyes light up when they finally hit the target? Or maybe you secretly enjoy the authority of yelling ceasefire. Whatever your motivation is, make sure it's something more than just wanting to show off your cool shooting skills on Instagram. And let me tell you right now, if it's about the money, I strongly suggest you put your energies into another career. It's like aviation. If you want to be a millionaire, start with $1 billion. Now, there are two ways to enter into the field. Go in business for yourself, or work as an instructor at an established range. They both have their pros and cons. Of the two, working for someone is the route I'd recommend if you don't already have a ton of experience as an instructor. There are a lot of pros to working for someone else. First of all, the initial cash outlay will be far less than starting your own business. You may or may not have to pay to get your instructor certification if required. I imagine it would be significantly easier to get hired as an instructor if you had at least an NRA instructor certification. Just spitballing there. You'll be walking into a business that is advertising for you, providing facilities and equipment for you, and most importantly, providing clients for you. All you have to do is the instructor stuff. If you're very new to the game, I'd strongly recommend this route, as you'll get to see what's involved in setting up and running a class. You'll have a senior instructor to mentor you, and most importantly, you'll see if this is something you really want to do. Just imagine sinking a ton of money and effort into starting an instructor business only to realize that you just can't deal with students. Now, working for someone also has a few cons. First of all, the compensation isn't going to be much, at least at first. You just have to ask yourself if you want to make minimum wage to have guns pointed at you and be responsible for people's safety, or make it by asking if they want fries with their order. Choice is yours. Especially if you're only getting paid for the time you're actually instructing. Another con is that you'll be expected to teach the classes your employer offers the way your employer wants them taught. Now, this is the very reason I went into business for myself. I don't like having class content and instruction methods imposed on me. And this is why, while I offer NRA classes, I try my hardest not to conduct them. The Refuse to be a Victim seminar being the only exception. Now, full disclosure, I had plenty of opportunities to run ranges and be an instructor when I was in the military. This is also where I developed my deep-seated hatred of having to teach shooting the way I was told to. So 13 years ago, when I started a tactical pirate, I came into it with the time management, logistical, and instructional skills that are essential to a business. I also knew how to diagnose a shooter's problems and come up with ways to correct them. And I also came to realize that I genuinely enjoyed teaching people how to shoot, and that it is a job I'd look forward to going to every day. Now, you're going to be in for some long, hard, frustrating days. You'll be at the range hours ahead of the students to set up the classroom and the shooting bay. And you'll head home hours after they leave once you finish the teardown and cleanup of the facility. And these will be the good days. The days where you get to be actually an instructor. Other long days will consist of marketing, paperwork, and all the other administrative crap that a business involves. We'll cover that a little later. Now, hanging your shingle out, depending on where you're setting up shop, ranges from easy to downright Machiavellian. For instance, here in South Carolina, you just need a business license to start. There are only a couple of areas that require any kind of official certification, but unless you're going to teach the concealed carry class or certify private security guards, you're all set. Elsewhere, do your research. You'll need to jump through a few hoops, meet certain requirements, and acquire the necessary qualifications. This may include certifications, extensive knowledge of firearms laws, and a solid understanding of safety protocols. But hey, don't let that discourage you. It's all part of the journey. Now, in the world of firearms, safety isn't a suggestion, it's a commandment. You'll need to become well-versed in firearm components and operation. No, it's not just about knowing which end the bullet comes out of. It's about understanding the intricacies of different types of firearms so you can impress your students with your encyclopedic knowledge of boomsticks. You're responsible for the safety of everyone you take out onto the line. When it comes to student safety, you'll need to be more vigilant than a squirrel trying to cross a busy road. You'll be dealing with people who have never held a gun before and won't realize what they're doing wrong while they're doing it. Implement range safety protocols like a boss. Conduct safety briefings, and make sure your students understand the gravity of handling firearms. And remember, it's your duty to prevent mishaps and keep everyone's eyebrows intact. I really can't stress the safety aspect enough. I want to take a minute here to tell you about a veteran-owned business right here in South Carolina. Fort Mill Firearms builds custom modern sporting rifles, the AR platform we all love. They build their guns one at a time, giving you a quality firearm without the Gucci prices. They'll work with you one-on-one to build a rifle that fills your specific needs, be it hunting, competition, range toy, or defensive gun. Quality parts, outstanding customer service, attention to detail, and fair pricing. What more could you ask? Give them a call at area code 803-509-0100. I'll put the rest of their contact information and web address in the show notes. There are a couple of truths you need to understand. Just because you can shoot doesn't mean you know how to teach, and conversely, just because you know how to teach doesn't mean you know how to shoot. Now, you're definitely going to need to know how to shoot because you're going to have to demonstrate techniques and drills. Sure, you may think you're already a sharpshooter, but there's always room for improvement. As a firearms instructor, you need to develop your marksmanship skills to hit targets like a boss. Get ready to experiment with shooting techniques that will probably make you feel like you're in an action movie. And don't forget to practice those drills for accuracy and speed, because nobody wants a sluggish instructor. Remember, learning never stops, even for firearms instructors. Stay updated with the latest industry trends, attend advanced training courses, and join professional associations to stay connected with fellow enthusiasts. I've learned something from every class I've taken, whether it's a new technique, a better way of explaining something, or even how not to do something. You're going to be expected to know everything about the latest and greatest guns and gear. And if you're presented with something you've never seen or heard of before, don't be afraid to admit it. Students can tell when you're bullshitting them, and it destroys your credibility. Building a solid reputation as a firearms instructor is essential for attracting students. Develop a professional brand that showcases your expertise and unique style. Network within the firearms community. Shoot competitively in one or more of the disciplines like IDPA or USPSA. Treat your students right, and they'll spread the word about you. Lie to them or tell them something wrong, and I guarantee that word will spread even faster. Now get ready to channel your inner Shakespeare with a bit more pew-pew. As an instructor, you'll need to communicate clearly and concisely, breaking down complex concepts into easily digestible information. Find creative ways to engage your students, whether it's through hilarious anecdotes or interpretive dance. Yeah, just kidding. Stick with visual aids and demonstrations. You'll need to know how to determine and address the particular learning styles of your students on the fly. I did a blog post a while back on the 7 different styles of learning. Students don't fall neatly into a one-size-fits-all category. And at the end of the day, you need to ensure that you've given every student the attention and tools they need to fully understand what you taught them. Real quick, the way people learn fall into one of these methods. Visual or spatial. They prefer using pictures, images, and spatial understanding. Oral is when they prefer using sound and music. Probably not something you're going to run into. Verbal is they prefer using words both in speech and writing. Physical, they prefer using their body, hands, and sense of touch. These are the hands-on people. Logical, they prefer using logic, reason, and systems. They'll drive you crazy with questions. Social, they prefer to learn in groups or with other people. And solitary is when they prefer to work alone and use self-study. Depending on your class size, you'll have to use some, if not all of these methods to ensure you reach everyone. Some students will require a combination of techniques. Be patient. Remember, they came to you for your knowledge, so you owe them being the best instructor you can be. If you're in business for yourself and offering other than NRA courses, you'll need to develop lesson plans and course structures. Lesson plans? Course structures? Sounds like a lot of work, right? Yeah, you're going to have to do this. By setting objectives and learning outcomes, structuring your lessons, and incorporating practical exercises, you'll create a well-organized training experience. It's really the only way you can guarantee you don't miss anything, and that you're presenting the information in a linear, understandable manner. I just hope the PowerPoint force is strong in you. A little about marketing. because without students, you don't really have a business, do you? It's time to unleash your inner marketing guru. Create a killer website that showcases your skills, experience, and unique approach to firearms training. Use social media platforms to engage with your audience. Add a blog to your website so you can share information. Start a podcast like this one. Sound like a lot of work? It is. But unless you can afford to outsource the web design, social media management, video and audio editing, it's going to be on you. And oh yeah, you'll be buying video and audio equipment that you'll have to learn how to use as well. Do you have some place to train students once you get them? Your training facility has to be able to support the types of classes you want to teach and meets all the prescribed safety requirements. Now, I'm fortunate enough to be able to operate out of an awesome range complex, the Skip-J Tactical Gun Range in Anderson, South Carolina. With 725-yard bays, a 50-yard bay, a 100-yard bay, and a shoot house, I can easily conduct any of the classes I offer there. And don't forget about the equipment and gear you'll need to create an awesome training experience. Dummy ammo, blue guns, eye and ear protection, and targets are going to be the bare minimum you need to start. Safety first, but maybe invest in some fancy targets to impress your students and make them feel like they're starring in their own action movie. Being a firearms instructor isn't just about shooting targets. It's about preparing your students for real-world situations. Teach them the fundamentals of self-defense, tactical considerations, and situational awareness. And if you really want to spice things up, throw in a few scenarios that involve zombies or alien invasion. Who says training can't be fun, right? But it's not all fun and games. You need to be well-versed in firearms laws and regulations. From federal to state to local, there's a whole bunch of legal stuff that you'll need to wrap your head around. And let's not forget concealed carry considerations. So get ready to navigate the labyrinth of legal jargon and keep your students on the right side of the law. Now, being a firearms instructor comes with great responsibility, young Padawan. It's not just about teaching people to shoot. It's about promoting responsible firearms ownership and ensuring a safe and inclusive training environment. Address any biases or discriminatory behavior and make sure everyone feels welcome. Because when it comes to guns, it's all about keeping it cool, calm, and collected. So there's a 50,000-foot view of what you'll be looking at. Becoming a firearms instructor is a journey filled with rewards, responsibility, and learning. Embrace the challenges, relish in the rewards, and remember to always keep safety as your top priority. Now, go forth and share your knowledge. If you like this podcast, subscribe and consider letting your like-minded friends know about it. If you're able to, I'd appreciate you leaving a comment letting me know what I can do better and what topic you'd like to hear about next. Until next time, shoot safe.